Good coach football
They're well
team.
prepared, and that's what scares me the most because I think the advantage that Kansas City has in any matchup that they play in is the experience, the calm nature in extremely tense and volatile situations. And I think that with Lamar Jackson and with Jim Harbaugh and potentially, are we going to get Andrews back?
John Harbaugh.
John
We're gonna
Harbaugh.
get-
I
we're
keep
gonna- we're gonna-
saying
we're gonna get
John
Andrews-
and
we're gonna
Jim
get
with
Andrews
John
back.
Harbaugh. So we're going to get Andrews back. I mean, it adds another calm layer to this operation.
Bro, the Ravens
Yeah.
O-line and Ricard, they were about their standing on business.
Oh, yeah.
And to watch tape and to get ready, not saying that Kansas City's D-line isn't up for the challenge, but you have to know it's going to be a long fucking night, and you have to focus on stopping the run. Like yeah, you got to rush the passer.
You can't-
and
Oh,
have to
that's
contain.
that's first.
You have to contain and you have to do all that, but you have to stop the run, or you're gonna get punched in your mouth.
But
the whole game.
But juxtapose that to like the Ravens or the Chiefs this weekend playing the Bills. We just went through it. They didn't commit bodies to stopping the run. They seem content saying, hey, we're going to bleed a little bit here. I don't think that this week it's the same thing. I think this week you have to stop the run, to your point. And then I also think, the Ravens are looking at the run game. They're looking at the Chiefs and saying, hey, where can we get yards on the ground? And I think Spags is looking at bringing pressure and saying,
Yes.
how did Houston disrupt them so badly in the first half with inferior players to what we have? Because we believe with the Sneeds, the McDuffies, the Boltons, maybe the Willie Gays, the Chris Jones, like we have more dudes, right?
Yeah.
So if they can pressure them, I think I can too.
And it's about setting the edge. Like you're playing against I don't think these teams, I don't think they're setting the edge well enough. And when you're playing against someone like Lamar who can hold on to that ball and extend plays, that's going to be huge this weekend. So I'm excited actually to see that battle in the trenches up front, because the Ravens, they really, as much as I like the Texans have studs on their D-line, but the interior, Rankins and some of those guys, some plays, they looked real bad. And it's one of those things, like you said,
They're not big.
Maybe,
And
yeah,
they're beat up.
They're not
that
big.
also
And they're beat up.
was, they looked physically
That's what we talked
imposing
about.
over there.
I was concerned
But
about
big-
the Texans
how big
holding
they
up
are.
because of
Yeah.
how physically and where physically
Big Mo
they're
is big. Morgan Moses is a big dude.
And Christian
But a lot
Harris
of
deserves props. Christian Harris made some great plays tackling the open field. We had to mention him. I mean, they really fought their asses off. They are an all-fight unit, but the two teams playing this weekend, heavyweights, and just like we said in the Bills game coming in, I said this game's going to be less about the flash and flare outside as it is about who runs the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, Kansas City being able to run the ball, that's another thing. Are they going to be able to run the ball on these guys? What's up with McKinnon? Is there any shot they get McKinnon back? McKinnon had hernia
Rashee Rice
surgery.
yesterday,
Rashee Rice, he didn't get the ball as much as I think.
but he was dinged.
He was dinged a little
yesterday,
bit.
that knee. It was knee.
I think they're gonna have to at some point. Maybe they're waiting for it. They're gonna have to implement Patrick Mahomes and more maybe some read options. And I think they don't use him enough. Fact that he's a decoy, obviously, of pulling. But I think he needs to maybe have some pre-scripted pulls, maybe 2 or 3.
QB power, draw.
Yeah, it'll just slow the defense up one more step.
I think what slows them up, keep these guys out of man.
Mm-hmm.
If they get into man, break their backs. Because Patrick Mahomes, like I said, somebody asked me what he runs a 40 in. I said probably a 4.9.
You just say fast enough.
But
had
he's
asked you that.
an
But
athlete.
Fast enough.
I mean, and knows he's got that 3-dimensional ability to see the field. Like last night when he's fucking with Rasul Douglas in the flat.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's I can't even make a decision on how I want to defend him.
You know, one of the biggest signs that you could tell he's an athlete, bro, how effortlessly he was dodging snowballs last minute.
How about the snowball almost hit the guy in the field of play?
But that's been happening these past weeks.
I know.
It's crazy.
One more. Go ahead.
So going back to the matchup with the Chiefs versus Lamar, and bringing pressures, and obviously Spags can get exotic, and he likes to press the button.
I'd rather pressure Lamar than Josh.
Here's what I'm thinking as a rush plan, and I got 2 D linemen in here that can answer this question. First, for you, I understand that there's quarterback spy defenses with the Mike linebacker or maybe your Will, and they're going to stay. Like we saw Willie Gay running with Josh Allen and mirroring his every move. Are there spy rushes for interior guys?
It's more muddle rush. It's like a muddle rush where it's just that
Balance up guy.
You're telling your interior guys and your outside guys. It's almost, bro, like whatever he's gonna do, he's gonna be patting the ball and he's gonna be in the pocket.
Because I want the edge guys to rush to get home. I don't want Karlaftis to unpin his ear back. But what I want is if Pennell's in the game, and if Chris Jones is in the game, because here's why. If I'm going to waste a rusher, if I'm going to add a free rusher versus Lamar Jackson, I'm going to want to add Nick Bolton. If Lamar makes you miss, and he probably will, you can tell him to err on one of two sides and flush him to
Flush him away from his ball hand.
Flush him to where your spy D lineman is, and also that saves your more athletic second level players
no D-lineman
to be there in response for Lamar's takeoff. You can set traps.
That's a waste. That's a waste.
What?
You can set traps.
What?
It's a waste to try to use an interior.
No, on a third and
D-lineman.
12, on a third and 8, I think you can add a pressure from the second level.
Here's another wrinkle. We've seen in the past Lamar and drop an 8. You know, like give him on some of these third and longs.
Like they did to
a lot
Patrick.
of time. I think it's got to be. I think pressure takes care of this. I think, in my opinion,
I don't want to waste my second level athletes though. I'm going to send guys who can get him down.
It's worked.
Who can get him down? Yeah, but I mean, Lamar is. This is a game where
Lamar.
This is a game where Lamar is going to be the superhero version of himself.
I understand that, but he
I
should
want
have been
as
a
many
superhero
bodies
version
there.
of himself in the first half against an inferior Texans defense last week. I'm just saying there are ways to pressure him, and I wouldn't. And D'Amico Ryans was on to this at times. I don't want if Lamar's going to beat me, make him beat me in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't want him beating me in 5 seconds, 6 seconds. Those are where the very bad things
That's where
happen.
guys get really open.
3-man routes, people get open, deep overs that are like you just can't cover that long. And you know, like if they're going to pick up a chunk, and there's no disrespect to Lamar. Lamar's dangerous as hell, but I'm more afraid of Josh's legs than Lamar's legs because I can't kill Josh. I can't no hard shot is going to slow him down. Lamar's great at not getting hit, but if you're going to make him run 12 to 14 times in a game because you've dictated it by
Get some shots.
playing some man at times, you know, like not sitting there and muddle rushing too much because I hate when a guy's centered up on a 0 and he's like the balance up guy and he runs a 5-2. Like by the time Lamar runs sideways, you're going to shed a block.
You can't shed.
It's not like the run game where the gap's this big. The B gap is huge. I think the left end has to rush with power. I think the left end has to be Karlaftis can rush with power. Dana and those guys, they can rush with power inside. They're athletic enough. Dana's going to be a big one.
Other end.
The story is
Loopers dictating him rolling away from his ball
maybe
side.
a couple of times trying to force and get that backside sack and have that end come extra wide and have that tackle feel like you're pushing them by.
You got to set traps,
Mix in a spy.
right?
Yeah.
Mix in a spy. You talk
gotta
about
set
setting a
traps.
trap. Give him 4-man, and then all of a sudden, you know, it looks like Willie's dropping into the hook.
Show him
curl
the cheese,
zone,
take
and-
it away.
But to your answer too, Kyle, like the biggest, like another big factor is for guys to kind of know, like, hey, Lamar is going to make a few big plays, like with his feet. We cannot get discouraged.
Yeah.
Like we can't, like we might run some of these defenses perfectly, and you might have him like hemmed up, and then he finds a way to squirt out, and like. In a game, when you run something perfect and you guys practice it and your coach tells you exactly what's going to happen and it happens and, like, you guys don't particularly make the play, that could be in the moment disheartening.
Yeah.
And it's something where in a game like this, like, that can happen back to back. So you have to be like, yo, fuck it. We're going to get him. We're going to get the sack next time.
I got to speed him up, though.
This is a team that's been down on the road in the playoffs. So, I mean, what was it, 24-0 in Houston?
Yeah, they're a little. Yeah, your point taken. I just think the biggest thing is make Lamar. If Lamar's going to see zero coverage, he's going to ID the blitz. By the way, Kansas City, one of the best disguise groups in the league, if not the best. Okay, San Francisco is pretty good with disguises too. You know, you look at some of the stuff they did the other day, but like, Kansas City, you know he brings pressure and you know he's good at disguising. I just think if you're going to get beat by Lamar, make him throw that ball outside the numbers for 40 yards. Dare him to do it.
Yeah.
I know he can, But I'm just telling you, I know Ravens fans think everything's hate. You guys have become like the biggest
It's like no matter how
people are
much you
hating
love
on us.
Lamar, you're still a hater.
Bro, like we picked him for the MVP, we picked him to win the division. You know, you want me to put my hair in a ponytail for you. I'm not going to do it. Like I think the Ravens are as good a team as there is in the league. What we're talking about here, though, is Spags in this defense. What is the
Styles make fights, bros.
what's your best shot? And I think it's okay to say, hey, we want to see Lamar, but Lamar's got a cannon, but we want to see this offense hit a deep ball rather than like we're just going to sit there and pat the ball. Let's create some negatives. Houston did it.
I'm concerned with. I mean, I'm just concerned with the ability for him to take off. The Bolton speed ceiling isn't very high. His recognition usually makes up for that, but when you're playing against a guy like Lamar, the margins are so razor thin. It's concerning. So you got to have some pressure generated from the scheme, and I'm excited to see what Spags does. It's going to be one of the best matchups we've potentially ever seen.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.